next session, FMC in Japan. I would like to welcome 4 speakers on the stage. Ms. Nancy Gillis, Program Head, Climate Action and First Movers Coalition of World Economic Forum. His Excellency Shinichi Nakatani, State Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry. Mr. Philip Roskamp, Acting Deputy Chief of Mission of United States. And Toshiaki Tanaka, Representative Director, Executive Vice President of Mitsui O.S.K. Lines. First, we will have a photo session with the 4 notable members of the ceremony. Please look to the camera to leave memorable pictures of the first FMC event in Asia. Please smile. Would you please smile to the camera? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you. Let me introduce the opening remarks from the host country, held by His Excellency Shinichi Nakatani, State Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry. Mr. Nakatani, the floor is yours.
Today, we are very pleased to host the first FMC in Japan event for the First Movers Coalition in Japan, in Asia rather. And also we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the World Economic Forum, the Secretariat of the FMC for their generous cooperation. In order to develop and diffuse the technologies and products needed to decarbonize the world, it is important that we need to expand the demand side. So as FMC stipulates, there needs to be a commitment in advance to purchase products that will lead to decarbonization. This creates predictability, stimulates innovation, and accelerates the implementation of innovative technologies. Also, as we see more expansion in the demand for green products, this will be beneficial for the companies who hold those innovative technology. They can capture part of the global market. So Japan, as of May of this year, we have participated in this initiative which has been initiated by the US. So from Japan, from Mitsui O.S.K. Lines, we would hear from them later. They have joined this initiative, drawing much interest from the world. And also, we have already received a strong interest from other companies in Japan. So we would definitely have to create more benefits for joining into this initiative. Also, we need to communicate those benefits so that many companies in Japan will participate in FMC, thereby contributing to the global decarbonization. In closing, we would hope that FMC will be further expanded, and we would hope that this would drive the realization of the objectives of FMC. With that, I would like to close my greetings.
Mr. Nakatani will now leave the session due to public duties. Thank you very much. Next, let me introduce the opening remarks held by Ms. Nancy Gillis, Program Head, Climate Action and the First Movers Coalition of World Economic Forum, who is the moderator of this session. Ms. Gillis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction to speak here today. I very much welcome the opportunity to share information about the First Movers Coalition and to follow such fantastic opening comments as was made by Secretary John Kerry, who represents the State Department and who is the co-chair of the First Movers Coalition. As was mentioned, I'm Nancy Gillis. I am with the World Economic Forum, and we are the other co-chairs of the First Movers Coalition. And we are very honored that Japan has joined the First Movers Coalition as a government partner in May of this year. As was mentioned in Secretary Kerry's opening comments, the First Movers Coalition was launched in November of last year at COP26. It was launched in recognition that there is a need to transformatively decarbonize those important economic sectors, such as material and long-range transportation, that are not only important to most organizations globally, but also happen to be the major GHG emitting sectors, causing 30% and growing amount of GHG emissions every year. And so the First Movers Coalition was launched to try to address these sectors and transformatively decarbonize them by relying on innovative technologies. When a company joins the First Movers Coalition, what they are doing is signing a demand commitment. That means that they are making a commitment to buy products and services that they do now, but instead of buying the products and services that they've done historically, those with more GHG emissions consequences, they are promising to buy they're promising to buy products and services that rely on these new innovative technologies. And what does that mean that they're doing? It means that after they make this commitment, they're working with their suppliers, starting in conversations, understanding what it takes for those suppliers to provide to them these new products and services that are much less GHG emitting. And these are things such as sustainable aviation fuels. It is things such as near zero steel, zero aluminum. It is the trucking sector, trucking services, the aviation sector, as I mentioned, sustainable aviation fuels, and of course the shipping sector. And we were incredibly honored to have Mitsui join as a First Mover Coalition member, committing to the First Movers Coalition, and are speaking, of course, here today. We recognize that we're at a time when this is a climate emergency. We're facing, of course, the floods in Pakistan. There have been some significant impacts in the United States as far as impact from hurricanes. We are in this emergency to where our goals of 2050 to stop these impacts need action at minimum by 2030. And so the First Movers Coalition, those commitments that companies make are to achieve rapid decarbonization in the hard-to-abate sectors by 2030 by leveraging their purchasing power, their purchasing decisions for products and services that are relying on new innovative technologies. And of course, when you talk about new innovative technologies, we were not surprised that Japan decided to join the First Movers Coalition, because innovation is at the hallmark not only of Japan, but of Mitsui as well. So we are proud that the First Movers Coalition is an example of pragmatic, real action at a time that we need to move beyond promises to on-the-ground work. And as was mentioned, we are also proud that at COP27, that is forthcoming, we will be launching our cement and concrete sector. And we welcome organizations who are active in that space to become part of the First Movers Coalition. In closing, I want to thank again the opportunity to feature the First Movers Coalition as part of the transformative conversation that's happening today, and to share with you, as part of the session discussion that will happen after these opening comments in the panels, why the First Movers Coalition is unique, why it's one of the best examples of a public-private partnership globally, and why, of course, it is an honor for the World Economic Forum to serve as a co-chair and the secretariat for the First Movers Coalition. So I look forward to further conversation. And again, thank you. With that as moderator, I would now like to invite the next speaker to come up. Here it is the U.S. Acting Deputy Chief Mission, Mr. Philip Rosekamp, who's coming to do some opening comments. Please, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. その時の私は懐かしい。
And I look so much younger.
Who was here? Mr. Baker, perhaps I pronounced that like a Texan. I apologize if I got that wrong. Ms. Gillis, Mr. Tanaka, distinguished guests. So on behalf of U.S. Ambassador Rahm Emanuel and the U.S. Embassy, it's my honor to join you here today. Yesterday, Ambassador Emanuel spoke about the potential for nuclear energy at the International Cool Earth Forum, and so I'd like to follow up his remarks by sharing some of what we're doing in the United States on climate change and emissions, and what we hope to do together in cooperation with Japan and our other partners. When President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act in August, it took the most expansive action ever for a U.S. administration to tackle the climate crisis and strengthen global energy security. Together, the Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law allocate approximately $500 billion for climate resilience initiatives and clean energy investments. But government action alone is not enough. To change the outcome, we need to change the technology. To keep a global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius within reach, we must accelerate development of the technologies of the future. That's why the United States government is going to great lengths to incentivize companies and consumers to invest in clean energy technologies. And we're already seeing some results. In the short time since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, U.S. companies have already announced plans for billions of dollars in new investments in clean energy technologies. These companies, whose collective market values exceed $8.5 trillion and have operations across 5 different continents, have sent the largest market signal in history to commercialize and emerging clean technologies. But Americans alone can't resolve these problems. These are global problems that require global coordination and global know-how. We must work with allies like Japan and our other partners to move farther and faster than ever before to tackle climate challenges. We commend Japanese Prime Minister Kishida's Green Transformation Initiative and are committed to working with Japan to achieve both of our countries' ambitious 2030 goals. Meeting 2030 targets and reaching net zero emissions by 2050 requires resolute action in this decade to develop and deploy new technologies. To accomplish this goal, the United States, Japan, and partner governments have joined together with the private sector as part of the First Movers Coalition to align public investment and consumer demand with green innovation. Since its launch at the UN Climate Change Conference in 2021, the First Movers Coalition has brought together global companies with supply chains in carbon-intensive sectors. As U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate Change John Kerry said, in this critical decade, we need to deploy existing clean energy technologies and drive innovation for our long-term decarbonization goals. We commend the government of Japan's contributions to the First Movers Coalition and appreciate the participation of Japanese shipping company Mitsui O.S.K. Lines. Maritime shipping is critical to our economies and our livelihoods, but the environmental cost of maritime commerce in terms of carbon emissions is enormous. We invite other companies to follow the example of Mitsui O.S.K. Lines and join this effort. Looking forward, in order to spark new thinking and innovative action, the United States, and Norway are co-leading a green shipping challenge. The aim of the challenge is to accelerate decarbonization in the shipping sector through concerted action by national government, ports, and companies. At last year's UN Climate Change Conference, Japan joined the United States and other countries in signing the Clydebank Declaration on Green Shipping Corridors. Moving away from shipping, we also commend Japan for joining the Global Methane Pledge Energy Pathway, and we look forward to continued collaboration on reducing methane emissions in the oil and gas sectors. Now, at this year's UN Climate Change Conference in Egypt, we'll build on shared progress, including steps to reduce methane emissions and decarbonization of the shipping sector. I'm proud to say that our clean energy and climate partnerships with Japan are both broad and deep, ranging from the national level down to the local level of government, from high-level government officials all the way down to citizens and grassroots, and everything from big corporations to small mom-and-pop entrepreneurships. We commit to working closely with Japan on green transformation, not only for our two nations, but for the benefit of others who can learn from our examples of success and our mistakes, but who also can share their examples of success with us. No one has a monopoly on good ideas, and we want to make the best ideas scalable. So thank you again to State Minister Nakatani and the Ministry for the opportunity to speak today and for hosting this important event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those inspiring comments, and of course for representing once again the co-chairs of the First Movers Coalition. The U.S. government. World Economic Forum is incredibly proud to support you in this initiative. With that, it is both an honor and a personal pleasure to welcome now for additional opening comments representative from the Mitsui OSK lines, Vice President Tanaka. Welcome, sir.
Philipさん、どうもありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. You mentioned the Mitsui OSK lines, and it's a great opportunity for us to advertise our company. Thank you.
Over foreign and national speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is Tanaka of Mitsui OSK Lines. Today, I am delighted to take part in the first Global Green Transformation Conference here in Japan, Tokyo. And it is a great honor to be able to speak to you. Thank you very much. In MOL, we have 138 years history. We have sustained people's lives from the Blue Ocean. We are a shipping company from the Blue Ocean, and we expanded our business in social infrastructures, especially shipping at the core. And our climate journey has taken a major step forward in June 2021, last year, when we made an ambition to achieve a net zero GHG emission by 2050, ahead of the industry-wide target, I believe. We recognize that climate change is getting to become an existential threat, and the next 10 years will be a decisive decade for our livable future. What we need now is to take concrete actions to reduce our value chain emissions. But at the same time, we'll go beyond this value chain and take urgent action to mitigate emissions outside of our value chain by supporting emerging CDR technologies. Therefore, we decided to take part in the First Movers Coalition, a platform where we can leverage our collective purchasing power to develop and scale zero carbon technologies. On the other way, we believe that it is essential for society to bear the cost under public policies and support for net zero carbon technology to spread widely throughout the sections and countries globally. However, until such a system is in place, we believe that voluntary efforts by companies can contribute for bridging the gap. So as an early adopter, MOL, we will continue to show actions what we believe as good practice in all dimensions and try to encourage others to have some ideas for course of actions to do. We will accelerate the global efforts to achieve the net zero GHG emission by ourselves and through influencing power, we hope, influencing power. Lastly, I'd like to conclude my speech by offering a question by Roman Krasnarek. Famous question. How can we be good ancestors? I strongly believe that actions we take now will be remembered as choosing the right path at the crossroad by the generations to come. Thank you.
With that, I want to thank the opening speakers. I believe we are now going to a break before we move to the next panel. Again, it is an honor to have been able to engage with these fantastic representatives and to bring to your attention the First Movers Coalition. Thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gills.